Welcome to the Grails.
British thing. Sorry, I interrupted you there. I saw you drinking water out of a pint glass, and I was like, only Irish and English people do that.
Yeah, busted. Absolutely busted.
Yeah, now you do your intro.
That's the level that we're at. Yeah.
I'm glad we got that out before we properly kicked off. Yeah.
Now I can relax.
Welcome to the Grails and Tales podcast, episode number 6, the final episode in the first season. And we're delighted to be joined by one of the nicest guys in the fitness industry, Rob Lipsett. Rob, pleasure. Thanks for coming on. How is everything?
Thank you so much for having me on. I don't know about the nicest in the fitness industry, but I mean well anyways. Okay. No. So thank you so much. And look, I've been wearing your clothes for so long. My last Instagram post, I'm wearing one of your Nike stringer vests, and the amount of comments being like, where's this vest from? And I'm like, you're going to have to go about 20 years back in time or go to Vintage Threads to get it, you know? But no, thanks so much for having me on, guys. I'm a big fan of what you do.
No, I appreciate it. It's funny that because the gym apparel is so hard to get when we're out picking little bits of clothes. And like, it's one thing that everyone always wants, but yeah, it's hopefully when the summer starts kicking off, we start finding more of them, because the old school stringer vest, there's really nothing better when you hit it.
There's nothing like it. It's almost like it's like a fine wine. You can't recreate it. It's insane. But no, all the like kind of sporty stuff that you guys that I've gotten from you over the last couple of months or years even, I absolutely love, and I just get so much comments on it. So it's great.
Love to hear that. Thanks, mate. I mean, it's always funny just to think about who's been having the gym sessions in the last 20 years. You look at those photos of the Venice Beach from like 20 years
I'm like, I'm absorbing the testosterone from it. It's like, give it to me.
I think that's the funniest thing that we always get is that, you know, we've obviously worked with you know, a couple of times over the years, and you'll have this like vest on and people will message us straight away being like, oh, can I have that vest that Rob's wearing? I was like, unfortunately, I wish the business was that easy that we could. I wish we could have 50 of these. Like, you know, it's one of one. That's probably the good thing about why you want it.
Yeah, for sure. That's so funny. I always forget that. It's like not like you could just manufacture 20 more of them. Yeah.
That's part of the reason why we're
about vintage clothing as well. You know.
Yeah, that's 100%. That's part of the reason why we're doing it. Is kind of like that whole giving all these items that other life, but it just means that a lot of people are missing out on the items that they want. It's been funny for us because I think over the past like year, I guess over maybe 18 months, we've seen like the vintage industry really kind of like grow into a sense of, you know, people who probably never even thought about buying it have now started to get that kind of interest in it, and I guess they've been kind of sucked to certain brands and kind of really interested in, I guess, the life about the people who are going and buying these clothes. I mean, did you kind of find that a little bit when you were starting out in the fitness industry? You know, when you were releasing videos, you know, back in 2014, did you have the idea in your head that people are going to be really, you know, long-term going to be interested in this? Or at that point, were you just like, let's just put some videos out and see how it goes?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. Okay, so I was at this stage, you know, 2014, Rob, I was getting fired from jobs left, right, and center. You know, had no enthusiasm. I think I took a personality test once, and they're like, "You're a personality type F. You cannot work for other people." I was like, and I was like, true. And then so I was getting fired constantly, and I failed first year college twice. So, you know, I didn't know what to do with my life. And I was like, oh my God, you know, what do you like to do, Rob? What will you actually stick at and be consistent with? And there's one thing that I'm always being so passionate about is the gym, training, and nutrition. And so I said, what have I got to lose? I'm going to pick up my iPhone 5. I'm going to sellotape it to the wall because I didn't have a tripod. And I'm just going to make videos of like what my friends would ask me, because they'd ask me about the gym. So I'm like, oh, look, I'll just talk to the camera as if I'm talking to a mate and see where it goes. And at the time, you're always like, this would be great if it blew up, but you can't really expect much from it. So like, in my head, and my dreams, I was always like, I want to reach as many people as possible, get them into the gym, inform them on what's bullshit, what's the right way to do things. But at the same time, yes, I was just like, let's hope someone watches. Yeah, that's how my mum tunes in.
We can definitely relate to that one. I mean, even when we were first starting out, you just put these clothes out and you're like, is someone going to buy that? And then suddenly it pops up, someone's bought it, and you're like, wait, hang on, someone's bought that, right? Bit of momentum. I mean, I would say only really sort of the last like 6 months to a year, we've started to really know that this is going to be something which we can do for the rest of our lives. I mean, when did you kind of have that feeling when you realised you could potentially make a career out of it and kind of do something? When did that start to feel natural for you? It's quite a sort of big moment, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So going back on what you just said about when you made your first sale, as a business owner, online or in person, I think one of the biggest highs you can feel in your entire life is making that first sale. Like, I think that's one of like the best things, the feelings you can ever get. Like, even Linda just started her own clothing brand like a couple of months ago, and every time she gets a sale, she's just buzzing. It's probably the most rewarding thing about the entrepreneur life. So that's awesome that you said that. And so to answer your question about when I saw it getting serious. So again, I was working like jobs here and there, trying to hold down one. And I was working at the time, it was like 9 to 5, just in an office job. And I was doing, so 9 to 5, I'd work in the office. 5 to 6, I'd commute home. 6 to 7, I'd go to the gym. 7 to 8, I'd have dinner with my family. And then from 8 p.m. to about 2 a.m., I was working on my fitness business. So online coaching, I was selling like little Lipsit Fitness merch stuff. I was editing YouTube videos. I was filming YouTube videos. And then I'd sleep from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., like 4 hours sleep. And then I'm up in the office the next day again. So that was like full on. And then as soon as the side gig, the fitness stuff, made more money than my office job, I was like, all right, it's safe to go. I can actually do this. So it's all well and good to say, hey, quit your job, follow your dreams. That sounds really cool and motivational and very Gary V. But, it's not, you got to have a safety net in practice to kind of fall back on. So that was the moment that I knew I could head on and focus on fitness 100%. And once you do put 100% in something, as you know, that's when you're going to see the real results.
So we've got to keep our eye out for some Lipsit Fitness stringers hanging around.
Yeah, some vintage ones. I swear to God, I was at an expo. I think it was Body Power, or it could have been like a meetup we did in London. And someone came to the expo with like a 2014 LF t-shirt. And I'm like, bro, you made my day. I'm like, that is vintage. That is some vintage threads.
Vintage Lipsit. I love it. We'll look out for it. That's probably that one.
It's funny to say that, because I mean, I was in that position, we both were, in the sense of doing as much as you can between the hours of 8 till 2, and that can only get you so far. And obviously, when you actually do have the opportunity to go full time on something, the amount you can then do is obviously completely different, and the output you get. Did you find that when you did have the opportunity to go full time, you just had more ideas and more opportunity to spend on kind of more of the longer term things? You weren't having to just, sell the plans, get the next day plans out. Do you then start to have that long term approach?
Absolutely. You've more time. You're more patient. You're less your work is less rushed. And again, you start seeing, you relax because you're like, right, I'm actually going to be doing this for the next couple of years, so I can pace myself a little bit and kind of plant more seeds. So yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess it's like part of that, and that kind of moment.
I'm doing some YouTube right now, by the way, as well. I'm like, just making sure it's going always, never stops.
Love that. Top work. I mean, I guess part of that moment where you realize that you're getting more successful, and why people are sort of enjoying your content is because, like you mentioned, I mean, like Charlie mentioned in his intro, one of the nice guys in fitness. So you've kind of got that really like natural personality. I guess then you've got to sort of realize that how do you kind of stop that from becoming your whole life, really, in terms of, you've got that great sort of behind the scenes access, you sort of show people what it's really like and show your personality. How do you kind of balance that and have your privacy alongside that while sort of throwing everything into it?
Yeah, that's a hard one, you know, and especially like if you're on YouTube and you're vlogging your whole life and you have your relationships as well, and then a relationship might end or something, or your subscribers like, hey, where's she gone? Or you're on the back of your videos or anything. So you get to value, especially the larger your channel and social presence grows, you get to value your privacy a little bit more. And so you kind of have to decide what to share and what not to share. But it's like a catch-22, because the more of a relationship you build with your community, the better. And, you know, by letting them into your life, like, you know, show them when you have a bad day or when you have a good day, it does build that real strong community. And, you know, building an online community is like, especially if you've got a brand, building that kind of family feel around it, it blows it up. So it's a very valuable thing to have. And that's, you know, very enriching to other people's lives too. So yeah, it's a tough juggling act to follow, you know?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, you know, who we engage with, who are always asking us for kind of, you know, tips on either starting a vintage clothing company or just starting a brand. What kind of ideas would you give to people when you look back at like starting out, you know, between that kind of 2014 to 2018 in terms of kind of the main learners that you had?
Yeah, so basically you need to be providing some sort of value, because if they're giving you, you know, 20, 30 quid for a t-shirt, they expect a nice t-shirt that they like back. If they're giving you 20 minutes of their time's the most valuable thing in the world. If they're giving you 20 minutes of your time to watch a video or to go onto your Instagram, what are you giving back to them? You know, there needs to be a trade-off. So it can either be, you know, informative, you're educating people on fitness, which is, you know, mainly what I do. It could be even motivation. It can even be like making them laugh or entertained or be funnier. Hell, if you're a hot girl, you know, you can just be, you're hot, you know, that's your value. You know, it's like when you see a hot girl, like millions of followers on Instagram, that's her value, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But either way, the way growing online, there needs to be some sort of trade-off really, if people are giving you their time and attention. Because again, attention is currency in today's day and age. So figure out how you can give value. You know, maybe you're really informative, maybe you're really funny, maybe you're really hot. You know,
use your assets.
How can you do it? Yeah, or maybe you make killer vintage clothes. You know, and so there we go. So whatever it is, everyone can provide value in some way, shape, or form. So you got to figure out what that is and then get it out there. And then of course all the basics, like, you know, being consistent with your content, improving your content's quality over time. So investing, you know, back into your camera equipment, your editing equipment, and you're taking your production levels up more and more, doing collaborations like that. Again, that's some really cool stuff that you guys do. We still got to get round to doing that. Like, again, you know, I think you were saying like an Instagram post, win a 200 voucher to spend in vintage threads. Stuff like that is all huge, but it all comes back again. What are you giving the consumer?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I mean, I think that's potentially where some people might go wrong in the fitness industry. Is obviously it's very much about you, and sometimes often about how you look. So people often go down the path of showing, you know, themselves looking amazing or themselves, and it's like that's great for them and it helps indulge themselves. But is it really giving value? I guess from that point of view, like, how much do you kind of listen to your audience to actually find out like what's really valuable to them? Because I mean, that's something which we're always trying to do. You know, it's great having people in the DMs giving you feedback or saying, you know, we want more of this, but I'd be interested to know how you kind of go about that process of finding out what's valuable, really.
Yeah, for sure. So to go back on what you said about like just being in shape in the fitness industry, that doesn't cut it anymore. Everyone's now in shape, you know, like the mounted bodybuilders with like bigger biceps than me or a better six pack. It's like that doesn't cut it. You know, you need to be putting out good energy, you know, and again, doing all the things that I spoke about previously. So exactly what you said. And I do say, you know, get into the comment sections, chat to people. And what I like doing as well, right, is when someone leaves you a hater comment, like be like, hey man, I appreciate that. You know, let me know how I can improve. You know, instead of being like, fuck you, you know, how dare you say this on my page? Be like, all right, bro, I appreciate it. You know, why don't you fill me in? What do you think? So don't just listen to the yes men, you know, listen to the critics as well. You got to be able to take criticism.
100%. I think that's what we found. It's kind of like you look back at 6 months ago and you're like, shit, you know, can't believe we were even putting that out or we were doing that. Everyone's constantly growing. And I think you've got to kind of adapt as like COVID's made everyone adapt. You've got to adapt in your surroundings to keep on improving. I mean, have you felt that over the years that your content's changed at all? Have you kind of found your kind of sweet spots? And obviously, I know your businesses have grown in that sense, but yeah, have you kind of felt that's changed and developed since you were younger?
For sure. I think I saw a good quote the other day, and it was like, if you don't look back at the person you were a few years ago and say, Jesus Christ, what was I doing? You haven't learned enough. You haven't grown enough. So I love that, and like, I look back at my old videos and I'm like, I can hardly even speak, I'm like, this is it, and I kind of love it though. So like, I always leave those videos there and I look back at them with fondness to kind of see how much I've grown and changed over the years. But that's it, you just adapt and grow. Like this, especially after this year, this has changed just so many people's lives and businesses and approaches forever. I think this was like the great reset. Obviously, you probably heard a lot of conspiracy theories. I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist myself sometimes, but so it's just completely changed. And so again, you have to constantly be adapting and growing out your past self. And when someone says, they're like, "Oh, you've changed, bro," I'm like, "Thank you." I'm like, that's possibly the nicest thing you could say. Yeah, I'm like, appreciate that. I don't know if you're a hater or a fan.
yeah, exactly. It's interesting you say about things changing, obviously all over the world. Yeah. I mean, obviously the fitness industry is constantly changing, even from the last kind of few years before that. I mean, do you think it's going to be an industry that benefits from this 12 months? Obviously, everyone's now kind of, working out from home. Everyone's sort of, Peloton's now a massive thing. You've got all that sort of home workout. Yeah. I mean, obviously that everyone wants to be supporting gyms as well. Then there will definitely be that bounce back. But do you kind of see it being an industry that long-term benefits from this, or?
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because I'm on team gyms. Like I love, just going into an old school, like especially East London gyms. I love them. Like
all metal bars and plates together.
Works, where is it? Orpington or Bethnal Green.
Bethnal Green one. Yeah,
that's the one. I love that. Your man, like it's a family business. $5 in, boom. Like the place is filthy. I love that.
Yeah.
And now I understand that people will look at a filthy gym and, even if it's clean, they'll be like, oh, they want to be all hygienic nowadays. And so, yes, it's all moving online. It's all seems to be moving home workouts. Even to open up back again, there will be people that are hesitant to go. Now, I think gyms will always be a thing, but there has been a huge shift to home workouts and home equipment. And I think we're going to see a lot of innovation machines. Like I saw one the other day and it's like a box and like a cable coming out of it and like, handles to the cable. And it's like you stand on the box and there was like a demonstration of how many different exercises you could do. And it's like everything. And the box was like 300K worth of torque. You know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa, I'm like, that's actually pretty clever. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, maybe fuck the gym. But we're going to see a lot of innovation in the next few years. And even with VR, that's going to come into it. So it's going to be a big shift to, again, at-home training, and even there is companies that will like come in, they'll look at your house and they'll fit a home gym based on what you have. Like there already is companies in Ireland doing that. Like they specialize in putting a home gym in your house. And I know so many more people who have got home gyms. So I think gyms will always be a thing, but there's going to be a huge shift to online and at-home training for sure.
Yeah, it's been a very much, I guess it's kind of sped up what was the inevitable thing to happen. It's kind of like we found it like the e-commerce industry. It's grown as people say over like a 10-year period in just a year's time. It's kind of sped up everything that was going to happen. That's why we've seen such a demise of the high street and everything else.
Yeah. What is it? Did you see Topshop? They bought Primark and
we grew up with Topshop, just kind of, that was like your little Saturday, get up to go to Top Man and get a new outfit. Yeah. I mean,
I used to be wearing my Henleys with the rosary beads. I get my 6 cans of Dutch Gold and I'd have my Henley on, fresh out of Top Man, tag still on it. And I'm like, I am going to annihilate these days at the local park.
I know.
That's gone now. I'm like, what?
Times.
Yeah, it was the low cut V top
big
and
times.
just 2 sizes too small and time to go out.
Yeah. Love it. I mean, 3 size too small for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And how's your kind of offer? Have you changed your offering at all with kind of the way lockdown's had? I know you were obviously always kind of online anyway. Is it more just sped up what you've been doing in terms of the access that you're giving your clients and so on?
Is this? I think it's still muted. I think you guys have me muted.
Oh yeah.
Now
Hey,
we're
now
back.
we're back.
We're back in the room.
We muted and lost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we were saying, so have you had to change the way you're working with your clients? Has it just sped up the access that you're giving everyone online?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had to, my current app, I have to completely redo it to include like a setting where when you sign up, you select what equipment you have access to, if any, and then the workouts are generated around that. And again, I'm actually completely tearing down my app again and building it from scratch to be more home orientated and a bit more kind of, flexible as to what equipment the user has. And okay, wait.
We're
We're
in?
back.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, no worries. How's your connection there?
I think it's fine. How about you? I don't really know which side
It
it's
just
at.
said one of them was unstable, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right, sweet. We're good. But yeah, so basically I've had to update my app to make it kind of more so of what the user has at home. And so having more geared towards home workouts as well. And I'm actually completely redoing and rebranding my app at the moment. So instead of calling it Lips of Fitness, call it Game Plan. So to make kind of something that's bigger than me. So I'm really excited for that. And then also with the fuel cakes as well, one of the motivations behind making that, I was like, God, everyone is sitting at home baking banana bread. I'm like, I might as well just make pancakes. And then when people were like, this is like slightly joking, but not really a joke, they're like, the lockdown will extend for 6 more weeks. I'm like, oh, I guess you're all stuck inside. Might as well, break out the oven bits, get baking.
Is that your eureka moment when you were like, well, no one can leave and no one wants to make banana bread, so
yeah, I'm like, so they can't go to the gym. I'm gonna bring something into the house. You really just can't get rid of me.
yeah, I love that. I mean, it's been amazing to see fuel cakes. Obviously, I mean, Charlie and I saw it when it first kind of dropped, and we were like, whoa, I mean, that, like, first of all, sick idea, because obviously everyone's just putting out their own little like pancake recipes. You'll see it the whole time with fitness people in the industry. I mean, but it's one thing to kind of do that, another thing to package up with just an awesome brand. I mean, like, great name. I was just interested in terms of the branding side of it. It's got that sort of slight vintagey feel as well. I mean, we were like, wow, that's popping. We love that. It just really resonated with us. I mean, was that deliberate? Where did that kind of inspiration come from for the branding?
Absolutely. So I knew you guys would like it. With the vibe to it. And I was like, I want to make something fun. Okay. And then Google search, right? 1950s cereal boxes. They're so cool. They're so much cooler than the ones you have now. Like there was one in particular, and it was like a Sugar Puffs box, and it was like, collect 6 vouchers to get your own handgun discount.
That's a good angle. I like that.
I was like, America. So I looked at it and like, the real like 1950s, like, honey, I saw the Jeffersons got the new fuel cakes boxes. From now on, our family does what the Jeffersons do. We start our day with fuel cakes. So it's just a really fun brand. And like, it would be so typical for me to make it all like fuel cakes, power bar. Everyone would be like, of course he made it a big gym thing. So like, I didn't even like call them like protein 3000 cakes. Like I want to make a cool pancake brand that has healthy ingredients, that tastes amazing, and that isn't like in your face fitness. Like, you know, oh, of course, you know, you made a fitness pancake. Like, Jesus Christ. I mainly wanted to make like just a sick pancakes for everyone, like start the day with or finish your day with. I actually eat them more so in the evening, to be honest.
Yeah,
But,
it's post dinner training.
Yeah. So that was the motivation behind like the old school branding, and yeah, it's been really well received. So yeah, I'm delighted with that.
That was kind of your first step outside of, you know, just kind of, you know, fitness plans or workouts. Is that something you've been wanting to do for a while and have that kind of products to take to market?
Yeah, absolutely. So do you know the other YouTubers like Christian Guzman and you know, Max Tuning? So again, they're good friends of mine. Again, super inspiring guys to be in my circle. And like, so Christian is always drinking white monsters in his videos. So everyone was like, so many people would drink that because of him. So he made his own energy drink, 3D. Yeah, it's called 3D now. It started as Up Energy. So he has 3D, and then Max Tuning, he was always eating Sour Patch Kids. So then he made his own Sour Strips brand. And so I was like, what am I always doing in my videos? I'm always making protein pancakes. And then so I was like, boom, fuel cakes. And that's a huge piece of business advice I have for anyone listening now, is that you want to come up with a business idea. Okay, come up with a solution to a problem that you see regularly. Okay, or like if someone's always asking you for like, hey, where do you get your vintage clothes? You know, hey, what's your pancake recipe? Oh, hey, what are those energy drinks you always drink? Be like, boom, I've got a product for you. You know, here's the answer. So you're coming up with a solution to a problem that you see regularly. So that it doesn't matter what you're making. That's a good one. Even also, it's like if you're in really good shape and you're really knowledgeable about fitness, and people are always asking you for fitness advice, well, then maybe, you know, you should study to become a personal trainer, start doing plans. So a problem that presents itself to you regularly, come up with the solution for it. And that's your business idea.
Yeah,
because that's the thing, isn't it? It's like the concept of a protein pancake. You know, it's been around for years.
Yeah.
But what you've done is you've turned the protein pancake and you've created a brand around it. And you know, we are in now the generation of creating brands, and it's all around the brands. People are going to connect with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's just been, and that's obviously why it's been so successful, is people have really bought into that kind of process. And have you kind of found that the actual business side of things has now been a completely different challenge to you in terms of managing all of that side?
Yeah, absolutely. Like even now, like getting it into like wholesalers and everything, I'm like, how much do I charge for this? Yeah. So, but you know, business is jumping out of the plane and hoping the parachute pops out on the way down. So again, I've no worries about that. There is a lot of stuff like, you know, thank God, like an accountant and like, you know, everything. It sounds like I'm terrible at maths. Like all the back end stuff, I have a good team behind it, help me with that. But yeah, it's a new world for me doing an actual physical product. But it's a lot of fun. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really important what you said in terms of like doing something which is natural to you, in terms of you're always making protein pancakes to do I mean, like Charlie and I, we went to university together. You know, we've always loved vintage clothes, but mainly they used to come from charity shops the whole time.
Yeah.
People are like, you know, where do you get that from? They're like, oh, a charity shop, but hang on, like, couldn't we just like bring that to the people, kind of thing? Like, it's a great way to think about how you start a business. In terms of
it's up right in front of you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like kind of doing what you know, and that way it's just a lot easier to be good at it, I guess, which is why, you know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Knows a protein pancake like you do, so it's
I'm like, I'm the king. What can I say?
It's an easy way to do it.
And it's like rule number one in business is you need to be passionate about it. Okay, if you're not passionate about it, if you don't love your own product, if you don't like the process behind it, don't bother starting. Don't do it. You know, you need to be in this for the long run. And it's like, that's when you don't need motivation to keep going, you know, because you love what you're doing, you're passionate about it, and you believe in it. So it's like, if you have a bad week or a bad month, it doesn't matter, because you're just like, whatever, I'm gonna keep this going no matter what. And so that's why you've heard it a million times. Do what you love, do what you're passionate about, is because it's true. It's foundational stuff.
Yeah.
And is that really where, you know, I guess Fuel Cakes are driven you? Because obviously, you know, success for many people might be, making as much money as they can. And obviously, you'll probably find out now running a protein pancake business is not the quickest way to
No, I won't take money for that for years, probably. I keep putting it back in,
For you now, is success just challenging yourself, or what is that kind of meaning to you at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I'm not working towards something, when I don't have a project, when I don't feel productive, I actually feel really down. And like, I think that's a problem with a lot of people is they're not applying themselves enough. They're not challenging themselves enough. They're not stimulating and testing their brain and their body enough and pushing themselves. And they get this feeling of lost. They're lost and the feeling a bit hopeless. And so I always want multiple projects to be working on, because I think the worst feeling in the world is like wasted potential. It's like, that's a gut wrenching thing. You always, when you're on your deathbed, you want to be able to say, I gave everything a shot and I gave it my all. So yeah, that's what for me to be happy, I need to be working on some projects and applying myself. So that's like success for me, is just always be working towards something that I love. And I think that would help a lot of people as well if they applied themselves a little bit more.
100%. Amen to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just from that kind of the thing you touched on, obviously going from the start of the conversation where you're having these personality tests and being told, you got, or whatever it was. I mean, did you always kind of like have that entrepreneurial spirit, or did it come with just the confidence of getting the reaction from stuff you're putting out there? I mean, obviously it's a ballsy thing in the first place to get to the stage where you press post and put yourself out there. But from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I think people would be interested to know. Sometimes people, especially with Instagram, they take it as a reflection on themselves, like, oh, I don't have that in me. Or is it something which you've always held? Do you think it's something which you've grown? Or
so the first entrepreneurial thing I ever did was when I was in Spain on a family holiday. Like, I think in like fucking Benalmádena or whatever it is, Torremolinos, whatever it is. So when I was in Spain on a family holiday, I went down to the market, like the street stall, and I bought like a load of pellet guns and BB guns. Like, I was super young. I think I took 20 quid out of it off the table. And I went down, I bought a load of pellet guns, and then I put them in my suitcase and sold them to all the kids in the neighborhood when I got home.
Love it.
And all the kids' parents are like, did your son sell my son a freaking pellet gun? So that was the first thing. So maybe I did always have something a little bit entrepreneurial in me. And I do think like, that's like the most fun thing or the most exhilarating I've ever done with my life. Start a business or a project and have it come through. Like, so another thing I do when we're not in the pandemic is I own an events company where I bring like CEOs and content creators together to just get them up on stage, talk about their journey on usually like a room full of people. Like the biggest one we had was in Dublin. We sold like 800 tickets. And it's like, it was so stressful. Like, these speakers were from like America, Canada, all around Europe, getting them all into Dublin, getting them all caffeinated and on stage and giving it their all, sell the tickets, get everyone in the room. We had to have sponsors and food there for lunch and everything. And you're doing all this stuff and you're putting it all together. And then on the day when it pays off and comes together and it's the best feeling ever. You're just like, yes. So it's one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And I think that you guys can agree with that as well. Like, I'm sure you're super proud when you look around at all your stock, your shop, you see the feedback of your customers coming in. I'd say that's like the best feeling ever, So I definitely think once you get a taste for that, the entrepreneurial life, you can't ever stop, really.
100%. I think the thing for us as well, it's kind of, things have obviously, like yourself, progressing so much at the moment. It's a constant test to push yourself out your boundaries. It's like when you start to feel comfortable and you start to feel, oh, this is quite easy, actually. That's really when you're kind of getting a bit too settled, and it's like, right, I need to snap out of that. Yeah, I need to do something that really gets my stomach like, oh my god, why have I done this?
Yeah, the butterflies. Yeah, you wake up in the morning, every morning feeling sick, and you're like, love it.
It is that moment after you deliver. Let's like we'll have a shoot or like something to yourself like an event. Yeah. Once you get that done, it's that feeling of kind of success in the sense of achieving what you set out to. And I think that's one of the biggest things for everyone. It's like achieving a goal can be so simple. And I think one of the things that we've always tried to do is like, even if your goal is the smallest thing ever, as long as you can achieve that, you get that sense of worth of moving forward. And
absolutely. And again, so for people that maybe are feeling a little bit, down this year, is that it's so important to set yourself little tasks, big tasks, anything, some projects for you to work on. And once you're working towards that thing, like I said, and then once you achieve it, doesn't matter how big or small fit, you're going to feel better and more fulfilled.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's interesting what you say there in terms of like, especially as a digital personality or someone across social media, like this year has been obviously quite tough for a lot of people, and for them to see, people actually making moves, or, obviously you don't want to be in that place where you're kind of rubbing it into people's faces, but when you're showing that, things can be achieved despite us all being in lockdown, and obviously you've made this amazing step with Fuel Cakes, you've kind of changed up your living situation, everything like that. And I think, it does offer a nice, escape for people, or a nice bit of motivation for some people. I guess that kind of slightly ties into the sort of debate around like personalities around social media and kind of influencers, which has obviously been quite a topical kind of conversation at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of kind of flack and a lot of negativity towards that. Do you think that's kind of fair in that regards, or do you think it's I would be interested to know your opinion on kind of
so I understand where like the anger is coming from. People are stuck at home, they're a bit like they can be bitter and resentful of the whole world right now, and people are on their phones a lot. But I don't think spreading hate or negativity, even if the person's done wrong, I don't think that's going to improve your day, so I think the joke is on the commenter, really, because let's say the person, you did do something bad that you disagree with. You could be doing anything in the world right now. You could be learning a new skill. You could be watching your favorite movie. You could be spending on the phone to your mom, but you're here on Twitter leaving a mean comment about Molly May, who doesn't even know who you are. You could do anything. But I do kind of like understand where the anger is coming from, but I don't think it's going to achieve anything. If you are like, let's say an influencer is in Dubai and you're saying, hey, you shouldn't do that, maybe direct your anger towards the CEO of Heathrow Airport, because they're the ones that are actually going to stop the flights. I don't think leaving a mean comment on a Love Island cast member is going to do anything at all. So I get it, I understand people are angry right now, and when they see other people maybe breaking the rules or bending the rules, you get pissed off. But I just think it's a pointless thing to do, really, and that it's wasting your own time.
100% agree, and I think as well, it's in these times you've got two options really, to kind of focus on yourself and your own personal development, or you can sit around and try and aim at other people who are doing other things. And it's kind of a life choice people have got to make. And, there's, benefits.
And it's like you have a certain amount of energy per day. And it's like, so you only have a certain amount of minutes per day, energy per day. And so you need to put that energy in the right place. So if you don't like what someone's doing online, just don't give them the time of day. Don't watch them. Don't click on their profile. Never mind. Don't go actually take up the energy to leave a mean comment and curse and blind them and click send off your fake account and then go back and log into your real account. I'm like, that takes time. I'm like, that's taking a lot of time during the day. So you got to be selective with your energy. Again, put that into learning a new skill, watching your favorite movie, reading a book, chatting to your mom, bettering yourself in a certain way. So I don't think leaving hateful comments online does anything really. And you also don't know the person's situation of what you're saying, as we've seen in recent years, some celebrities really going too far, without getting dark here. So I think, if there's no point in saying a mean thing, then you probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree, and hopefully, things like that.
But there are some influencers acting the bollocks. Myself included.
It just goes back to your point of added value, isn't it? As long as you're
adding value to the people who are following you, then surely that is the aim of the game of what you're following them for. If you don't like it, there's a quick unfollow button to
exactly. Exactly. Like, again, go, watch someone that you do find value from or anything. But it's like some people follow some people just to hate.
It's ready to go. It's like vultures.
All right. Yeah, we're back.
Right.
No, it's crazy just seeing how some people are just like vultures, ready just to prey on people. You're just like, what's going on there? I mean, from your point of view, obviously, it's you obviously started to, like you said, sellotaping your phone onto the wall. You're now obviously an entrepreneur with Fuel Cakes. You're living out in Marbella at the moment. Is that right? I think. Just having an awesome time. How do you kind of like balance that? How you started with that sort of like boy next door sort of charm to now kind of someone who's obviously very established, someone who's got their own business, someone who's obviously like living the life essentially. It's kind of hard to still maintain that you're someone that people can relate to. Yeah,
so I still find the same stuff funny that I did back then. I still have the same thoughts. Someone have to comment on my first ever video the other day, and they're like, Rob has not changed a bit. And I'm like, again, and I'm like, that goes back to our start of our conversation. I'm like, is that a good thing? But, so what keeps me, I guess, humble or grounded, whatever you want to say, is like, I still have so far to go. Like, I still have so much left to do. I want Fuel Cakes to be a household name in every supermarket. I want my app game plan just be if you're going to the gym, you're doing a game plan workout. I want to reach more people and get more people into the gym, more people make a better choice with food. I've got so far to go. So I don't think that I'm too different from the person who did sell their iPhone to the wall, so that's a good way to think about it. And that's how you don't let yourself get content, is you do think about, pat yourself on the back for how much you've done, but do think like, okay, I've still got a lot of work ahead of me.
100%. And you kind of touched on that, your growth aspirations. What are the plans when kind of lockdown ends? Have you got a lot of events in the pipeline, different projects that you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, I want to go and shake everyone's hand. I want to give everyone hugs again. I want to go to different gyms. I want to do all that. I want to go party and go to some festivals and travel around without feeling like weird about it or having to get like a PCR test before I go. So I've got all that. I can't wait for. And I'm really looking forward to that. So a lot to do. And I think we are also, especially in the UK, I think this year, the second half of this year is going to be great. Again, that's typical optimist Rob, but I'm like, I think it's going to be great. I've really jinxed it now. There's going to be a meteor that hits the planet.
Yeah, there is.
Well, we're in the same position. We're kind of like booking a few festivals, booking a few holidays, just like, oh no, it's 100% going to happen. Like, we are free again.
Yeah. I can't wait. Actually, I Beat the Rocks today just announced that they're fully opening and they're doing gigs and stuff.
That's the news we all needed, isn't it? I mean,
it really is.
Yeah, I feel like
again that June 21st, like I will be in Hackney Wick, like you will. With my shirt off around my head. I cannot wait. Yeah.
I mean, there's already been so many more smiles on faces with Zoom calls this week already. Suddenly you're talking to people that have actually got a bit of energy about it. Everyone's sort of buzzing a bit. I mean, obviously you mentioned about getting some festivals in the pipeline. We'll obviously throw a few garms in the ring for that. I mean,
like that is your scene. Like that's what, like festival season is when you guys come alive. Like festival season for it is to you guys. It's like what January is for me when everyone's starting out in the gym. Yeah. We all have our peak times. It's like, this is your time to shine, fellas.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I mean, obviously that's all part of the fun of festival is getting, just like really experimenting with your own style a bit and seeing, like, you can get with anything. If you want to wear a t-shirt which says Dickhead on it, or if you want to wear a jazzy multicolored shirt, you can wear whatever you want. From your point of view, where do you kind of see your own style? Like, do you like being a bit out there? Do you kind of like, obviously it's tough when you're in the gym a lot. There's only so many things you can kind of wear. But I mean, yeah. How do you see your own style?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am in gym gear like 90% of the time. But I'm like a black t-shirt for the most part. But I do love dressing up. And something that has had a huge impact on my style was like going to Ibiza, going to festivals, and I'd see how everyone would wear vintage clothes. They'd wear looser fitting stuff. And I realized, oh, this looks way cooler and more chilled. So my style's evolved a lot from wearing the tightest t-shirt possible to like a more relaxed look, but also keeping that real sporty, athletic feel to it. Like you're just like the clothes that you guys are wearing right now. Like again, that's so me. Like classic Nike, Adidas, everything. It's actually, if you're hit the gym, you know, you're in good shape, you look after yourself, it actually looks really good on you. So that's where my style is. I love a nice short sleeve shirt. You know, it just show off the guns a little bit. Nice relaxed look and some vintage stuff I've fallen in love with a lot recently. Thanks to you guys as well. So really kind of like simplistic stuff, and then a few out there pieces to mix it up too.
Yeah, we love to hear that. I mean, obviously, you know, our podcast is called Grails and Tales.
Yeah.
We've heard some fantastic tales. I mean, it's been an absolute riot chatting to you. But what would you say is your kind of grail? Obviously, you've just mentioned you love a bit of vintage. What's your kind of like, if it's a piece you're looking for, or if it's a piece you've already got, what would you say is your kind of your grail?
Yeah. So I'm usually quite frugal with spending. I don't like to ball out too much. Like I see some guys wearing, like, you go into Harrods and you spend like 500 quid for a printed t-shirt. And I'm like, that's
a lot of fuel cakes.
Yeah, I'm like, I know that. I'm like, all I see is pancakes. You know, I'm like, that could have bought me this one's pancakes. But one thing that I do really like that I get a lot of wears out of, like, it's not just a t-shirt that I wear once. I do have like a Dior down jacket that I absolutely love, and especially like wearing it around London when it's a bit colder. It'll probably go on a bit of a hiatus now coming up to summer, but it's something that again does get a lot of confidence, gets a lot of comments, and yeah, I love that. And again, one thing, so I'm not too into like spending loads on designer like t-shirts, because it's like, it's a t-shirt, but stuff like jackets or backpacks or shoes or something you get a lot of wears out of, and that you can put with outfits and you get value for money, that I see why people would do ball out a little bit on that.
Yeah,
100%. We spend a lot of time when we're sourcing abroad, and you come across some of the designer pieces. Obviously, it's a lot rarer to get, and there is a certain feel to them. You know, it's a wonder why they cost so much. The element of class and the detailing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The stitching doesn't just, you know.
We had a Christian Dior jacket in here the other day, and I opened the cuffs, and it had like a little CD embroidered all over, and you know, and you're like, that's classy.
And very nice.
But it's been a pleasure, and for everyone listening, I guess Game Plan, they can download on the App Store. Fuel Cakes they can buy. It's on their own website, I think. Isn't it?
Online, fuelcakes.com. You can order it to anywhere in the world, and we will get some delicious pancakes to you. And again, just Rob Lipsett on YouTube and Instagram to see what I'm about.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Unreal. Fellas, so good to chat. And when I'm back in London, I'm calling into the shop.
Yeah, love that. Pre-festival.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then we're all heading together. All right.
Yeah, awesome.
Lovely.